intro music, but maybe that's a good idea for Jonathan. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good
Thanks for
morning.
joining us. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Morning Show with the Twins. Maybe we need an official title.
Well, first of all, I'm like so wide awake because of this extra hour, but the official title, that is the official title, isn't it? I
We should
mean,
have done that since we're so wide awake and up earlier than normal because we have the time change. So, again, good morning. I am sporting the Bears. I got my Bears gear on. This is the real twins today because yep, no makeup, no makeup, no makeup Sunday. Today's conversation is the past and the future of AI. And what we thought we would do is just kind of give you some updates and kind of tell you where we have been when it comes to AI. You know, I'm about to click on my video meaning. Let me make sure the sound is off. Oh, luckily for me, the sound is off.
yeah, good.
So, so when I think about the past of AI, I think Siri, I think smartphones, I think Alexa.
Alexa.
I'm afraid to even say that out loud
You said that
because it
loud.
might hear me. And even in like I have my Kindle, and on my Kindle, Alexa's on my Kindle. So when I'm in the kitchen and I ask Alexa something, that thing kicks on. So again, when I think of AI, I think of anything that works because that where it's simple. And also because I come from the real estate space, I think of AI as in our world, AI is as simple as predictive analytics, data. AI for me with the multiple listing service is RA will actually find when we upload photos when it comes to our multiple listing service is the AI will figure out or try to guess what the room is. So that's kind of how I think about AI. I also because I'm licensed in two different states, Illinois and Florida, and for license law purposes, I'm Carrie Little, the designated managing broker of Caremark Realty Group because somebody's going to watch this video. And then so here's my point is in the different states, we have AI and different multiple listing services that have been around prior to this thing called ChatGPT or AI as we might be using it today. And what I mean by that is in Florida, I can fill out a form, old school form, a digital like PDF, and then I can automatically click a button and it will automatically upload all of the information to the multiple listing service for me to list a house. So again, artificial intelligence to me is being able to work faster and smarter. And we could go way back in the past from the 40s because the first AI was in the 40s, but we're not going to bore you with that. Maybe that'll be something we come back and talk to you about because AI has been around longer than all of you think. I just kind of wanted to make it simple. So Mina, what do you think of when you think of AI?
I immediately think of anything that can make my life more efficient. And
So
typically,
like the past, like what like things you've already done? Like what do you mean?
like Google, like if finding an article for me, Google Scholar, using my phone to produce something for me that I wasn't able to produce before because we were so used to this thing that we forget that it's an artificial intelligence as well. Now, maybe not a generative one where it can create something new for you, but it's still artificial intelligence, but it became such an appendage that we're like, it's just normal because every day I use GPS, knowing good and well I don't need GPS. If it's fickle one day, I know exactly where I'm going. I know how to read a map that passed. We had like a two-dimensional thing. If we needed to go somewhere in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, we didn't have GPS. And if you did have GPS, you were bougie because you could afford it. But now I use
Yeah, because it was you had to go stop at the rest stop to get a map.
right. And but see, I could get to where I needed to go because I knew what the even numbers meant on a map. And for interstates, the ones that go across the country, left to right, and the ones that go vertical, top to bottom, those are odd numbers, and the other ones are even. Like I've known that since the 1980s. So I know I could get to where I need to go, period, even if I didn't have a map. It might take me a little bit longer. I might have to process. Like there were things that I remember learning to get to where I needed to be. But now I count on GPS, not for what people think, because I need to know the traffic and I needed to get smart to go like, I don't think so. Take this. Like I have in the last 2 weeks been detoured to get off of a freeway that I just was like, I don't want to get off this freeway. But I went that way and it saved me 25 minutes because it was smart enough that people are telling it, there's an accident. People are, whether it's Waze, for me, I do use the Apple one, but sometimes I turn on Waze because people are more apt to click, 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 click and tell me what's up ahead.
Now
And
I'm
it's,
using Waze. I'm using Waze. It's
I
owned by
just,
Google. I'm using Waze.
but the point is that in the past, we didn't have artificial intelligence to make me smarter in where I was going. So if you were going, like, remember back we used to go to northern Wisconsin, up north. Up north is different in California because up north for me is San Francisco, but in Illinois, up north for us was going to northern Wisconsin. And if you were going to hit construction, you didn't know. Nothing was going to tell you that it's there, but your GPS could.
Right. So, and really we could almost tie into the past of AI with the present because, I go into AI and talk about the 40s? Could I talk about the 50s? But typically, the presence of AI could easily be like I'm thinking ChatGPT in my Tesla.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, because even and really the past could be the Subaru because I didn't even know because Lauren has a Subaru that the Subaru will yank you back into your lane, and this is the car, the Subaru, when when you're not where you should be in your lane on a highway or on a road. I didn't know, but when I went to visit Lauren in Denver, it kind of adjusted based on how she was driving, and I'm like, this is interesting because in my mind, when because I got a Tesla, it'll be 2 years in the summer. And I remember I remember when I would turn on the cruise control, it would slow down on its own if I was behind a truck, even though I was still controlling the car. The way it would adjust was easier, and it actually I'm telling it yelled at me over on North Avenue when I started to get over, but the person behind me had jumped into the lane to the left and it yanked me back. So I'm thinking this is new, where when it comes to a Subaru, they've been doing it for years. And then a Tesla, because Teslas, I don't even know. I should Google that. Google this.
So while you're Googling that, I have
Also,
a Ford Fusion, and my Ford Fusion does the same thing. It'll smack me back in my lane. And I remember when cruise control first came out years ago. I've always had cruise control as far back as I can remember. And you turn it on, but if you went under 25 miles per hour, it wasn't going to go. My current car, if I have cruise control on, it will slow down so much that it drives in traffic for me. So unless it gets to zero, so then I have to turn it back on. So it allow, because I drive far every day. So basically, I'm able to allow my right leg to relax because of the AI. And it's a basic AI in a vehicle, but that is where we are with AI. And what I really appreciate is that first of all, you do need to focus if you're in traffic and you have your cruise control on, because it will yell at me if there's a vehicle in front of me, and it will like full on want to go into a full brake if a car is in front of me. So
right.
I have cruise control on, and there's this one part in California. Sometimes I'll take the toll route. It's right next to other cars that are in full traffic. And if I come around the bend, it sees the traffic and it still wants to slow me down, which I'm okay with. But it's been doing that for a couple months, but it has now gotten, because of some updates, it now knows I'm going around the bend and it doesn't just stop unless there's a vehicle in front of me. So it is getting smarter. And some of them, it's not a generative AI. It is a basic artificial intelligence because it has been programmed to do what it's doing. There is a difference. And I think sometimes when we hear the word AI, we now are lumping it all together. And I'm not going to just say generative AI every time, but into this situation, we're going to be talking about how AI can generate things for you to make you smarter, make you faster, make you more efficient, give you a thought partner. What did I call it? What
You got a
the
whole wait. You got
like
a whole.
an
You're teaching
AI
a whole class.
brainstorming buddy? Like it 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 has made us smarter. And what I really like are there are many districts. It's usually pretty much the affluent or economically advantaged districts sometimes, but many districts are realizing that they can give teachers access to make their lives faster. Like that, I, I'm
So wait. So
appreciating that.
today. So and we're just kind of just shooting the breeze, kind of talking this through. When if before you get into like the education part of it, let me go back to this Tesla. So Tesla has been around for 21 years, so it's almost like the past and the present. And then when you started talking about the AI in your Ford Fusion, am I right?
For fusion.
I'm like, let me Google, and I didn't even go to ChatGPT. How does Tesla use AI? And it says, with the help of AI algorithms, Tesla autopilot system is able to analyze sensor data in real time, allowing it to make informed decisions based on changing road conditions. This advanced technology not only enhances safety, but also contributes to the overall advancement of AI in the automotive industry. Now, I Googled this. The source is Disruption Hub. Oh, maybe we need to be watching this.
Wait, hold up.
Um,
Hold up. I just put the same thing in ChatGPT and I feel, can you give me sharing rights? I think you did. You got to just let me. You got to let me. I'm just going to share this real fast. So I put this in. I asked it the same thing you did. You went to Google, right? You went to
I did.
Google.
I'm trying to figure out how to. Let me hold on.
You just got to let me share. It's
I
it's
know.
there.
I understand. I
Wait,
understand.
hold
You gotta let me
on.
click.
Okay, you clicked. Okay, look. So I asked it some basic questions, right? Like, yes, cruise control is a basic form of AI, particularly if we're talking about adaptive cruise control, because that's what it is. And then it basically told me what you just said here. Adaptive systems rely on sensors, cameras, and radar to observe. But wait, then I put in, what about the Ford Fusion? And then wait for this update. It did that.
What did it do?
It gave me a video. Like it's never, it usually gives me the link to the video, but this is directly in ChatGPT now. Do you see that? That's like
Amazing.
that's a like it gave me a recommendation as to, look at that. Like that it you could play it, you could choose to play it, but it for a visual
So tell
demonstration.
everybody that's just joining what this really means, because prior to this moment, we'll go with this moment. The reality of we talked about the past of AI. You could go back to the 40s for the past. We talked about real estate in the past. We talked about our idea of AI in the past. And again, it could be as simple as your smartphone. And now we're talking about AI today. And I just Googled how long has Tesla been around? 21 years. We talked about the Subaru, you talked about your Ford Fusion, and then you went to ChatGPT. And what was the update that made you go, look at this?
The update is, and I'll click on it again and I'll share. And when you're able to see it, what you're going to notice is that before, in the past, when I would put in asking it about whatever topic, it usually I would have to actually say, give me the resource. Not only did I not ask it that, I asked it about AI cruise control. What about Ford Fusion? Because that's the vehicle that I have. It told me a little bit about it. I didn't read it, I'll be honest, but you can pause later and read it if you want. And then
Or
it
they could
gave
just go to ChatGPT and get it on their own.
get it on your own. And it gave me a visual. And before, it would just give me a link to click on, or it didn't even, as of 4 months ago, it sometimes wouldn't even give me the YouTube channel. Now it's giving me the YouTube channel. Like what I mean, it would not give me the YouTube channel. Like, and I'm almost wondering if it can tell me about this YouTube video because now ChatGPT is generative AI is moving so fast that if you're not using it daily, you will get left behind. Like that, this is powerful to me because this is a visual as to what you normally, if I were to Google this, it would give me this image. If you Google anybody or you want to have a topic, it's going to give you some information and then it possibly will give you a YouTube if it's available. ChatGPT did that faster. And I believe that we're going to be getting past saying I'm go Google it. We're going to go say go GPT it, go chat it, whatever. That's where we are.
Go get, because like people like to name their cars, they probably name Chat GPT. How weird is that?
Go GPT it.
Go
Go
right.
go perplexity it. Go Copilot it.
Copilot. Go
Go
Google
Claude
Gemini.
it. Go Gemini it. I'm just saying. Like
So okay. So for those of you that are, just jumping in and hanging out, Mina and Mina comes from the education space and I come from the real estate space.
and higher
We
ed, don't discount that because you do adult
Yeah,
education.
but I mean, I want people to understand that I come from the business world or the entrepreneur world because I own a brokerage. And so my thinking of AI is, it might not be different because they can, cross or intersect. The goal of this conversation this morning on the morning show with the twins is, we many of us, when we talk about the past of AI, didn't even realize how you're using it every day. Every time you download the Kohl's app from Kohl's, like the store, Macy's, Nordstrom, TJ Maxx, or you are giving, walk into Best Buy, for example. When you have their technology on your phone, you have given it permission to basically let them know when you've walked into the store. So for even, when we look at, I can't think of the APIs, but if I start talking about the bandolier case for an iPhone, it's going to start texting me. It's going to start showing up on Facebook. It's going to start showing up on Instagram. Same thing with UGG slippers or Crocs or Michael Kors or Marc Jacobs. And now even Louis Vuitton and Gucci. I have seen more ads from them because I've been saying, when you start talking about things, it shows up, or even a CRM or artificial intelligence, it starts to show up. That is the past of AI. It is still relevant. It is still probably going to be here. But when we talk about the present of it, the past, present of AI,
Day.
that could easily be what happened in November of 2022, ChatGPT. So
And
let's
we're in
talk about.
November of 2024.
Right, but so before we even get to the future and what could be the imaginable of this, let's talk about the data of what you're seeing currently that is, and we are only in it's November, so here's the 2-year point for ChatGPT. It is opened the artificial intelligence. Tell everybody what it really meant when ChatGPT happened. What OpenAI did for the world.
That is a good question. What it did for the world is it made us go faster. We have children in school, like for example, in kindergarten. When I was in kindergarten, we weren't reading. We might have been learning the alphabet and the sounds of the alphabet and just know that they still are doing that. But kids are going into the world understanding and reading faster. And one of my favorite examples is since it has come about, it has allowed children, adults, teenagers to gain access to knowledge and become a self-directed learner. If you go to YouTube, Google it, or probably even ChatGPT now, and yes, GPT it, and ask it, are students using ChatGPT as young as 2 and 3 years old? They are in Singapore. What the data is showing us is that first of all, Singapore is the top producing academic country in the world in language, mathematics, and science. And these kids are using ChatGPT, the voice activated ChatGPT, and asking it questions like my favorite is Pokemon real? And ChatGPT will give it a voice response. ChatGPT is not real. However, it can allow you to
It's
be
Pokemon
imaginative.
real, you said.
Yeah, is Pokemon real? Is Pokemon
But
real? And sorry,
and
Pokemon. You're not ChatGPT.
okay.
Is Pokemon real? And I was like, oh my gosh. And the kids are having dialogue. They can't even spell yet. And there's this idea that if kids can't read, they can't access knowledge. I'm telling you, even if adults can't read, they can have a full conversation with you and you may never know they can't read. That is what ChatGPT is can enhance, because it is giving us access to language, both in writing and visually and verbally. And that is the profound part, because I can ask ChatGPT recently, like you use Duolingo, which I love, and you do it every day. And I'm like, I'm gonna need to catch up. What ChatGPT did with voice, I said, I would like to practice my Spanish, and I need this to be voice. I want you to give me some Spanish language on saying hello and goodbye, and saying how are you. And it practiced with me.
Hola,
Hola,
¿cómo está?
¿cómo
¿Cómo
estás?
estás? ¿Qué
And I was
tal?
like, and it did it, and it said muy bien. See, and me not being confident, and I said I don't feel confident, and ChatGPT said you have to get past that. Almost wanted it to say get over yourself and just practice with me every day, like Duolingo. And then I said, can you do this in German? Absolutely. I was like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use Duolingo or Rosetta Stone. I'm saying that this is a version of my $20 a month. It can do things to enhance what we're doing, and you could probably have a full conversation with a parent that isn't English literate. Like it has changed my perspective on how we can enhance what we're doing for me in education, but what we're doing in the world. Like there's this idea that we can't do complex things because people can't read. That is crazy. You can learn quantum physics using ChatGPT by saying, give it to me like a kindergartner. Let's start there. Instead of when you Google quantum physics, it's not going to give it to you at a kindergarten's level. It's going to give you at a quantum physics level, at some professor's level, where now I'm just my head almost hurts when I think about it. But you can get ChatGPT to slow down, and you could learn almost anything.
So
Just think.
here's the present, and you might even say, Carrie, no, that sounds like the future, because no, it's happening now. So my youngest is his friend has developed, I won't even call it an app, we'll call it a website, to help him create ads using AI. He creates ads for TikTok. And this website, because I'm like, give me the website. He was like, Mom, no, not yet. I was like, you holding out? And so he pays for this website because the friend built it. Now you got to remember, what did you say about the where the business world is versus the education world when it comes to learning?
The business world doesn't have constraints the way we do in education.
How many
We have
years?
10 years.
Okay, keep going.
And you're right. So we're always 10 years behind. It doesn't matter what it is. And what I mean by that is, depending on where you were during 2020, we'll call it during BC or during COVID, because now we're after BC, after COVID. Um, so
Before COVID, after
before
COVID.
COVID, after COVID, AC, yeah, and COVID. So, and when we got access to Google, and I was finishing my credential in teaching, I was like, this is amazing. But kids didn't have access to it. We had HTML. You could build your own website if you had access to the language. But not everybody had access to the language. And I remember my science teacher, Dr. Thompson, at the time saying, if you aren't good at this, how are you going to make give this access to students so that they can become not just good at it, but better than you, so that when they're adults, they can pass it down. And I was like, and he said it becomes, you give equitable access to kids that typically wouldn't have access. So when we have like economically disadvantaged and advantaged, or minority groups, or whatever it is, we have to give them access because we tend to be 10 years behind. I'll give you an example. In 1989, the World Wide Web was available. Year of graduation for high school for us. I was learning I was learning Pascal and Fortran programming language, doesn't even matter what that is, in 1988 and 89. It's not
I learned how to sew because
but
I made about 6, 7, 8 prom dresses. So I'm
right,
just here to
but
let you know.
I learned
But
how
I'm
to
sure
do
sewing has come a long way because you could go buy your own t-shirt presses off of Amazon.
but right.
But let
But
me not even go down that road. Keep going.
but my point is that by the time, I will say, by 1995, when Google was available, and when I had access to students in 1987, 1997, 98, and 99, there was still teaching, even during my student teaching, where we were doing stand and deliver. It was great, still group activities, but I couldn't remember one student that was using Google. So 1989, 1999, we still didn't have students really engaged. They had computers, they were starting to use Google and the World Wide Web, but that was 10 years. And that
Of not
seems
having the access.
of not really full access. Like there, Silicon Valley, other districts around the country probably gave access. And now we are 2 years later in ChatGPT, and children are going to use it anyway. They're going to be on Google. You wonder why they're bored in the classroom. You wonder why kids are like, I already know that. But if we don't give teachers access, then how are the students are going to get access? Wait a minute. But now we have the business world. We have enterprise that is available for companies to allow adults to use ChatGPT. And companies have said that it is going to create the obsolete, getting rid of jobs, because we don't need people to do content when ChatGPT can do it for you.
Okay, so let me go back to the 10 everything that Mina just said, and let me make it real to you. So the youngest kid, graduated during COVID, went to Wheaton College. That first few months, it was like, Mom, and I could hear it in his voice. I'm like, fine, just quit. And so, and then his friend, who is not he's somewhere in California, makes money on TikTok, thousands, thousands more money than many of us make per month. Let's say in the $20,000 range. Developed software or a website that allows you to create ads that convert, because Jonathan is making more money a month over and above his rent. Because I was like, Jonathan, you got to let me share this. And he was like, no, you can't share it yet. And he
Yet,
wants to have
yet,
he wants to
fact.
have proof. So my proof is coming soon, but I could literally show you, I can show you his TikTok because I can show you how many thousands of followers he has. And when you're on TikTok, when you get to 100,000 followers, every week on a certain day, every week they do the ad drop. So the people that have hundreds of thousands of followers, they get an ad drop, and so they can pick their ads. And then when they pick their ads, then I'm gonna say kids, because so far when you look at Instagram and when you look at TikTok, who's creating the ads? You're not seeing us. So I'm like, I got to figure out how to blow up. And that's why, Mina, I feel like you and I not only should be going live on YouTube, because we also need to be going live over on TikTok so we can get the ad placement. And then we got to increase our follow subscriber count over here on YouTube. And then we got to increase our subscriber count on Instagram, because in my mind, it is the future or the imaginable, because this is why both of those kids don't go to college, because the colleges are behind, and hence why you will have a guest speaker and you will have a kid that will be doing a talk to your adult learners or your young learners on the power of social media and ad placement and how to build things because they're faster than us. They're just faster.
Which brings me all the way to a 2020 again, and the idea, or 2020 after COVID, and what was learned during that time. And generative AI, or ChatGPT, was available in its version of like a 1.0 and a 2.0 for a select group of people before 2022.
Almost like Clubhouse, right?
Like, right, like Clubhouse blew up because people needed connections with people. Well, during this time, there were people that were like, and it's been around, it's been available, it just hasn't been available to the public. So OpenAI decided to drop ChatGPT to the world. And what it did, like, it had more subscribers in a day or two than Netflix did in like, I don't know, months, years. Like, it was that fast. It was like this magical thing. And don't quote me on that. There is some research on how fast it was, but it was, it blew up so much that you couldn't get in once, like you had to be on a waiting list. And I was like, people were like, "Oh, I can't get in." I'm like, "What do you mean you can't get in?" So the innovators, the people, the early adopters, they're going to be the ones that are ahead of the game. And these are the ones that are pushing it into schools, into companies. UCLA is the first university in California that is taking taking hold of ChatGPT and offering it as an enterprise to everyone, professors and students. Because what we have to do is educate people so they don't cheat. Use it as a tool, just like we did with Google. It's not like kids are cheaters are going to cheat anyway. They're going to cheat. They're going to figure out how to cheat. But if we educate people on using it as a tool, that is where we're going to make an impact. Because if you want to keep your job, do you remember the steel and the coal mining and all of that stuff? The tipping point of that, when we didn't need humans to do it anymore, they were like, "It's not safe. People are dying in these coal mines." You know, the bird, the canary, like, they're like, "We don't need people to do it anymore. We can have these tools that can do it for us." It's the same with ChatGPT. I remember writing a paper on Microsoft Word, thinking this, like, the typewriters in 1988, 99, or before that, were like, it took forever. And then if you made a mistake, you had to start over because your teacher didn't want to see whiteout. Then the word processor came around, and not every student had access. And then we offered it to students in the classroom. Now we don't just have Microsoft, we have Google Docs and presentations. And now, with a plugin in Google, and I cannot remember the name of it right now, you can use a GPT version directly in Google that is not Gemini, that will allow students to help me edit this. I don't really know what to do with this, instead of it writing it for them. That's where we are. And depending on where you are in the world, depends on how fast you're going to use and develop what you're doing with ChatGPT. Because if
It's not
you really,
Claude,
it's not,
Max AI.
no, it's a plugin, and I will find it. But the idea is that we are going to be left behind.
So before we end, let let's um let's talk about the future of AI, or the, like your t-shirt says. I almost put that t-shirt on, but I wasn't sure. Um Under my bear shirt, the future of AI, or the imaginable, because we didn't even get into the conversation around how the past of AI was, Star Wars, and how it developed over the years, the movie. And then now, I, as a creator, can use Discord, and now I can even use Midjourney outside of Discord, and I can build my own images, I can build my own animations. There's so much that we haven't even scratched the surface with all of you here today. Like, what do you think the imaginable could be, or the reimagining of this for education, or even in real estate? Because there are some real estate agents now that are leveraging this so much that they're able to move faster. Because even me, I did 15 direct mail pieces in less than 45 minutes. Now there were some other things that I could have done faster, like a mail merge, but it helps me work so much faster in real estate. So what do you think that imaginable is?
I think that it's imagining a future that isn't here, good, bad, or indifferent, or somewhere in the middle, so that we don't get stuck in. There are a group of people that get so stuck in, oh my gosh, it's going to be bad, instead of yes, it could be bad, and yes, it could be good. Like we almost have to think of it in two or even three categories, and somewhere in the middle. We can imagine the negative, and knowing that it can allow you to cheat. It can, oh my gosh, it's going to take over the world like iRobot. If we imagine it,
Oh,
that
it's
when,
coming because they got that's all. Even on, I did. This is Sunday, so I could easily go down a rabbit hole. But
well,
was it Arizona? Which state just added the robot dog to their
I'm not
police
sure,
force?
but and
It was
it's, I don't know.
police dog in Arizona. Like this is really current, but so keep going. I'm sorry.
No, no,
So
no. But the point is that we, no matter whether you're in a company, in education, higher education, having the conversation, meaningful conversations to get all the voices in the room, because sometimes we only get the voices in the room that are positive, like yay, and sometimes we get the voices in the room that are negative. And if you only have those voices in separate rooms, then you won't come to an agreement that says yes, yes, and it's always yes but, or no but. If we have yes and both of those things could happen, might happen, then you can
right.
come up with a solution to move forward. And if we only focus on the problem all the time, we won't focus on solutions. That's the imaginable pieces, looking at the future and saying, this is what it could be, and also saying, this is what it could be. Like, and until we get to that point of talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, the crazy, the oh my gosh, it's going to take over our minds, that we have to have that so that when we educate the young, that they know that it could happen, it could be bad, and what are the negatives, and how can we mitigate, lessen the negative, and how can we make this where it's a tool that helps us enhance what we're doing, and not just this fear factor of where we're going in the future, because the fear factor is real. We should acknowledge it. Is a there is some reasoning as to why we should talk about that.
So that maybe that's what we do next Sunday is we just talk about the future only and talk about we could talk about some of the things people don't know today when it comes to AI and how ChatGPT or the open concept of artificial intelligence has already changed the landscape because you're right, the education space they don't know what they don't know. Even the real estate space doesn't even know what they don't know. But maybe that's what we talk about next Sunday.
Yeah. And I went ahead and put the name of that plugin, that it doesn't, you don't have to be a teacher to use it, but basically it's a plugin if you're in Google Docs, that you can add it as a plugin, and when you're in like a document or a presentation, it'll pop up on the right if you click it, and you can ask it to help support you in whatever you're doing.
There we go. So again, for those of you that are just joining, we always want to invite you to learn with us. I am Carrie Little. I typically go live on Fridays on Instagram, and I just shared with you, Dr. Mina Blazy is having a um, a class on your AI Brainstorm buddy on December 7th. You can scan the QR code, or you can go to her Instagram or TikTok into her link in her bio, because I'm just guessing it's there. If it's not, I'm sure you'll put it in your link tree today. So you could do that. And then I also have a masterclass replay for those of you that are in real estate, or you just want to see how I teach. This was strategy for mastering your business by the end of the year. This was a live webinar. This is the replay, but again, you can also find it in my Instagram profile and or my TikTok profile. And if you get my emails, you probably already have it. So again, I'm Carrie Little, the designated managing broker of Caremark Realty Group in Illinois and in Florida. You can Google me or you can find me on YouTube and on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Carrie Joe Little,
And I'm
everywhere.
Dr. Mina Blazy, and you can find me everywhere as Mina J. Blazy, except for YouTube. I am MJBLAZY. And yes, join me on December 7th for it's a free webinar just talking about ChatGPT and how you can make it a brainstorm buddy. And I'm looking forward to the next conversation about the future of AI.
And if you happen to be watching the replay and it's after December 7th, don't worry. The replay of your AI brainstorm buddy will be available on a landing page. So always go to our link trees on our social media accounts where you can find just other ways to learn. So see you later, everybody. Go
Bye,
Bears.
everybody. Go Bears.